Well, hello, White Sox fans, and welcome to another edition of the Future Sox podcast. My name is Ian Eskridge. Joining me as always, Mr. James Fox. How are you, James?
Good, man. What's up? Yeah, it looks we got our show programmed already here. It looks like in the comment section, so that's good.
Yeah, no doubt. Holy cow. Um, well, so we had the trade deadline come up this last week, and I know I speak for probably most White Sox fans when you say that it was underwhelming. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I just kind of thought they'd do a little bit more. Obviously, I mean, I think there's reasons for like no Mike Talkman, and we can get into that if you want. There's reasons for no Luis Robert. But I mean, some of the other guys, like the relievers, if there was any interest at all, I think I understand that your Steven Wilsons and Brandon Eiserts and these guys have control, right? But do you really want them on next year's team necessarily? You know what I mean? Like, it's just not something where it's like that huge of a deal. Like, if you could get two guys you like in the low levels and trade one of those guys and then call up Peyton Pallette or Wickham and Gonzalez instead, or one of these other, I mean, Owen White's up right now. And they've added like four relievers this week to Charlotte's roster. And obviously, none of those guys are as interesting as some of the guys that we've been kind of wanting to see all year. So, I mean, I understand, if there's literally nothing coming in return for Michael A. Taylor and you want to just keep him, that's fine. And, I think that we can get into Talkman in a minute, and Robert for sure. The Robert thing is very controversial. I know, I've kind of gone back and forth on this, so I can clarify my stance now, in a minute. But man, this is hard for people to understand, especially old baseball writers.
So the deals that did happen before the deadline, the White Sox traded Austin Slater for Gage Zeal, who I saw in person last night in Winston-Salem. Um, we'll get into that in a minute. But then the other one, which was and the fact that this is the only other one is kind of obviously we're gonna get into the individuals here in a moment, but Adrian Hauser got traded to the Rays for Curtis Mead, uh, Davitt, and Peoples, two relievers who are in Charlotte now, and they just brought Curtis Mead up because Miguel Vargas went to the IL and with what was it, oblique, and they pitched an inning each yesterday. I did not get a chance to go through and watch it because again, I am in North Carolina, and the whole streaming and highlights thing has kind of taken a little bit of a backseat to actually going to games, which I know shocking. But your thoughts on the? Let's start with the Austin Slater trade. What were your thoughts on that?
Yes, I mean, I liked both of those deals, which is one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to see them make another one, right? I think Getz has made some bad trades. I think we can say it, or underwhelming trades, right? I think you and I are both kind of Drew Thorpe guys, but the rest of that package doesn't look very good, right? And the Bummer one wasn't great, and but the ones that they've made recently with their basically full front office, right? With they didn't have all these guys in place before, right? You didn't have Ryan Fuller, you didn't have David Keller, who's technically the international director, but not really. He's one of the top lieutenants, right? So I think they've done interesting stuff this year, which is why I kind of thought we'd see Steven Wilson for something or Brandon Eisert for something or whatever. I think the two trades they made were fine. I don't know if Gage Zeal's ever gonna pitch in the big leagues, but you traded Austin Slater. It does you traded a $1 million short side platoon outfielder who's really good in that role, by the way, for a guy that's gonna be in the top 25 of your system, and you can get more into that specific player, obviously. But I mean, yeah, you got something useful for a guy that wasn't gonna be here next year. That's fine. The Adrian Hauser part of it, I'd love to know what else was on the table. Supposedly they were working with the Cubs. I had heard from somebody pretty solid that one of the names being talked about from the Cubs is Jordan Wicks. and the Cubs declined to do that. I don't know if that was like a deal breaker for the Sox and they preferred Curtis Mead or whatever. So I kind of like that trade, right? Because like if you can't get a top prospect and like your options are a couple of guys from A ball or I know, or like top like former top 50 prospect who failed, who has less than 400 at bats in the big leagues. Like I think I'd rather go for that, right? I've always kind of liked Curtis Mead, and we'll see, right? I think he needs runway. I think similar to Miguel Vargas, where he was on the Dodgers, Mead was on the Rays, playing first, playing second, playing third, playing short, being not that important, right? Where you're just kind of filling in a bunch of different spots. I think he probably needs some more runway than that. He underwent a swing change. He's been pretty good since June. So I hope we see him here. I like that one. The other two pitchers aren't prospects, but I mean, it's a pitching org. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ben Peoples at some point in the big leagues, right? But that doesn't mean that he needs to be a top 30 guy. These are just two guys who they think can help them at Charlotte. And you add them to the pile of, I guess, relief pitching depth because even the other guy, Davitt, is I don't know if they're going to start him or not. He's started in the past.
Yeah. I wanted to bring this up that Uncle Ted brings up here. Says that the Yankees have the best pitching lab around. And I don't know if they have the best one, but they use Eric Cressey, who also worked with Tanner McDougal, which, if you hadn't noticed, Tanner McDougal has been absolutely shoving here this year. And that comes, after working with Cressey. And, I watched Gage Seal yesterday. Kind of reminded me of Riley Gowans, who came from the Bummer trade, and basically the only thing that's still here, that's worth. I don't, I g- Actually, I guess he is literally the only thing that's still here from that Aaron Bummer trade. Just the velo is a little bit lower than Gowans, but the movement on the pitches looks nice and everything. So there is that.
Yeah, the Yankees always have prospects to trade. So they take a ton of college pitching and they usually make those guys better and then they trade them. They have a bunch of Rule 5 guys every year because of it. They also always have catchers. Like one of their focuses on the international market is they just sign a bunch of catchers and they're usually pretty good. And they used one who was like a pop-up prospect this year who's going to probably be a top 100 guy, Flores. He was the main return for Bednar to Pittsburgh. They traded like four prospects or four catchers, I think, and a whole bunch of pitchers like similarly ranked to Zeal, and they basically remade their entire bullpen doing it.
Yeah. I mean, moving to the Curtis Mead trade. I mean, since he got traded over to the White Sox, he's 4 for 7 with like a 1,500 OPS. So he clearly they traded for
And a bunch of
Babe Ruth.
walks. Yes. Well, so here's the issue I have. The one issue, like, I think he has to play second base, right? So, like, does that mean Colson has to play third base and Mydroth has to play short? Like, do you just kind of put them all in a bunch of different spots and figure it out? Like, I don't really know. I feel like the Sox aren't in a position where they can turn down potential upside. So, like, it is what it is, right? But it's still kind of weird that I don't think he can play third like as a regular because his arm's like not that great. Tampa was playing him at first. He's not gonna have the power to play first base. So that
Yeah.
but I think
Shouldn't.
sec but so his best opportunity to be a regular is second. But so is Mydroth, and so is, maybe a prospect that, is in double A killing it right now that we're gonna maybe talk about later. I mean, they just have all these second basemen. So, here's another one.
Yeah, it's weird, like we went from complaining that the White Sox didn't have any up the middle talent to now we have logjam
Yeah.
in the system and on the major league roster with all this middle of
Mhm.
the field talent. I don't really know what to make of it, and eventually, you end up having to, get rid of some of these guys, but I don't know. You obviously don't want to get rid of them for nothing. So,
No, and I think
where do you go?
yeah, no, you can't lose him for now. I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, remember when like they tried to fill second base with somebody new every year, and the stat went around that they didn't have like a positive WAR second baseman like since like a Gucci it was like a Gucci until one Yolmer Sanchez year where he was like one
Gold
and a
Glove.
half WAR because of defense. Right. Yeah. But he
Mm,
still is like, like a one and a half WAR season. Right. But that was like their best second base season since like Tadahito and Gucci. And now, like,
yeah,
I think my draft will be, I haven't looked, but my draft's got to be like a positive, like 2 WAR player or something on the season. But
yeah,
yeah, now they got a whole bunch of guys.
yeah. I mean, obviously, my drought's out right now, so
But he's
you
not on the
gotta
DL, right?
right.
Yeah. So maybe that's your Tim out. I don't know. I kind of feel like they would have DL'd him already, but it is the White Sox and they do weird stuff with the injured list. So, um, like they're on the West Coast. I mean, obviously Vargas is on the IL and it's an oblique, so who knows when we're gonna see him again. And they chose to go with Curtis Mead over Tim Elko. Um, I don't know. Like you could have given Tim Elko first base every day.
He just got put on a rehab assignment though 2 days ago.
Right,
So,
yeah. But he's been on the IL for 22 days, so I think, right? So he's technically could return
yeah.
if they felt like he was like ready, I guess. So you want to hammer out
Yeah.
like we have some stuff to do, but not a ton. Like we had a lot of questions in here, so I don't know. You want to get into like what he didn't do? I guess we kind of didn't talk about that. The
Yeah,
elephant, the elephant
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
room that is
Yeah.
Luis Robert.
Yeah. So, the one guy that everybody thought that for sure would bring back something,
Yes.
at least, I mean, I guess you would think that Hauser would bring back something as well,
Mm-hmm.
but Robert doesn't get traded. Um, we've heard stories about GMs looking at him as a short-term rental, and the White Sox valuing him as a couple year, you
Yep.
know,
Obligation. Right.
use. Yeah, so they don't end up making a deal with anybody. Don't find any suitors that valued him the same way, and he's still here. So your thoughts on that?
Well, I think what happened makes a lot of sense to me. I just like I'm all like if you go look at my Twitter about like Luis Robert, like I'm like was all over the place for like a week, right? Because like I have tweets that say like trade this guy for whatever you can get, like whatever. But there was like a huge piece of like context that like I didn't have. Like I just like didn't think it was even an option to pick up the option, right? So if that's like on the table and you're Chris Getz, like we would have killed him if they took a Cedric Mullins return. Like the Orioles traded Cedric Mullins to the Mets for 3 minor league relief pitchers. Like if that was the Robert trade, like we're fine with that. I don't think we are. I think there's a lot of people like, oh, get rid of him and get what. Like is 20 million too much? Probably, but is it too much for you? No, like their only commitment is Andrew Benintendi's $17 million. So you pick up Robert, your payroll's at 37 million with 2 players. Everybody else is ARB or pre-ARB. Jeff Passan was on 670 with Danny Parkins the other day when he did the radiothon thing, and so Passan explained it away as like, look, it's a $2 million buyout anyway. He thinks that Robert, unencumbered on the open market, would have got a 1-year deal for 15 million. So if it's 20,
Yeah,
who cares? Like, and you're the White Sox, like in the position they're in. Now, look, I don't know what the White Sox are planning because like, he's definitely not going to be on the 2028 Chicago White Sox, right? So is this, you hope he keeps doing what he's doing, you pick up the option, and then you try to trade him this winter. Um, and they think these garbage offers that they were getting right now, they could just do that at next year's deadline. I don't really know. Like when Chris Getz says like, "Oh, they really value him," and like that's true, but he's also like not gonna be here the next time they're really good, right? So this is still like, hey, we can't trade him for that, so we're like not going to. The thing that I found nuts like immediately is guys like Bob Nightingale and Bruce Levine who are like, "Oh, that was stupid because you can't pick up the option," and it's like, well, they're very clearly picking up the option. Like, I mean, Chris Getz like basically said it. He was like, "Yes, we're planning on him being here." So, and if we weren't, like, maybe we would have acted differently. Like, yeah, that's code for like if you had to trade him, they would have dumped him for kind of what I was expecting. Like, not very much, but they clearly didn't have to do that, and they don't want to. And I'm kind of glad they didn't. if they don't have to.
My favorite tweet from the last couple of days, pretty much all of Twitter, but the one made by you that said if Chris Getz if the White Sox do not pick up the option, Chris Getz should be fired.
He should be.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, but the responses that tweet got would like I got
Yeah.
like probably about an hour worth of laughs out of
Nice.
it.
Well, because I've heard. So this is what I've heard. Right. I've heard people say like, "Oh, well, you get to the end of the year and you figure it out." No,
Yeah.
that decision had to be made Thursday. Are you picking it up? Yes or no? Can you pick it up? Are you willing to pick it up? Yes. If that answers yes, okay, then don't trade him. If that answers no, then you have to trade him for whatever your crappy offer is.
Yep.
So once they decided to not do that, barring like him getting hit by a bus or like some sort of like long-term injury that's going to hurt 26, like you got to pick that thing up. Like they don't have a choice. Like they're picking it up.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much, I saw your opinion and understood it immediately that, if they just are going to lose him for nothing, despite, how he finishes the season, it really
Yeah.
doesn't matter because you pretty much, tied your wagon to him because you didn't trade him.
Well, could you imagine now it's like, oh yeah, we'll just decline it and get nothing. Okay, well the three relievers that the Mets got for or that the Orioles got for Cedric Mullins are better than nothing. It's just
Yeah.
not particularly good, right? And my guess is after seeing those trades, that's like what he was being valued at. Like, I'm sorry, like, but like I understand, I know Robert's shortcomings. I think we know them better than any, like, not us two, but like us as like the White Sox fan, like collective. Like, enjoy Harrison Bader. Like, he's not Luis Robert. Like, Luis Robert could win you a playoff series, right? Like, Harrison Bader's fine. Good defense, whatever. But like, Luis Robert as the fifth best player in the Phillies lineup, I think could have been awesome. But one of the things you said, like the big sticking point with this whole thing, teams that wanted him were treating him as like a rental, like half-year rental, and the White Sox were trying to trade him like a guy with 2.5 years of control. And it was just never going to line up. And in hindsight, all the reports are pretty funny about it.
Mm. Agreed. Um, Trying to think if is there anything else that we want to go
Well,
into about this, about the trade
well,
deadline here?
so I think Talkman is in. So you could
No,
have
yeah,
traded Mike Talkman, right? What could you have gotten? I like something in between, maybe like a Curtis Mead and a Gage Seal for Mike Talkman, right?
yeah,
The thing that Chris Getz said that made the most sense to me is like since he's ARB eligible, you just don't have to make the decision right now. So at the end of the year, right, 5 days after the World Series, you have to pick up Luis Roberts' option. With Mike Talkman, you don't have to do anything. The tender deadline's like in like late November, mid to late November. And even then, you can trade him before the tender deadline to like say Houston loves him, right? You can trade him to Houston and then they can tender him. Like you have time. I've also heard like um just that Mike Talkman didn't want to go anywhere, and one of the reasons why he didn't want to go anywhere, and people have said that he has like a sick kid. His kid is fine from what I understand, but like she was born, and he's talked about this, I think now. She had like a cleft palate. So there's like all sorts of like medical stuff, and they know like the doctor's here and he's from Palatine and his family. So he just said, like, hey, like I'd rather not go, right? Look, like if Chris Getzer's being offered a top 100 prospect for Mike Talkman, like I think he still would have traded him, even though Mike Talkman
yeah,
wanted to stay here,
yeah.
right?
Sorry,
But
Mike, I got to do what I got to
yeah,
do.
but I mean, if it's a couple of guys that later on this week you and I are trying to fit in like the back end of a top 30 list, like you can probably get that in the offseason.
Yeah, my thoughts as
And they
well.
like
I'd
and they
rather.
like him. They like his leadership and the stuff that he's like provided this year too.
Yeah, that's the thing. You get a professional at bat. His legs have kind of have left him at this point. The speed's not very good. It doesn't move that well in the outfield. But as you saw with that Colson Montgomery play at third base that could have saved the game the other night. He hit his cutoff man, which seems to be a like a plague in Major League Baseball, guys that just don't make the correct baseball play when they're supposed to do it. They try and play hero ball and end up throwing the ball all over the place. So it's nice to see a professional baseball player, and the fact that he's highly regarded just as a human being in the clubhouse, and the younger guys tend to gravitate toward him. That's great. Like that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, you know what's like one thing that's like super lame that I've always hated because I'm like a nerd. I used to love waiver trades. I thought it was like the coolest. Like, oh, this guy's
Yeah.
on waivers and he
Yep.
cleared. Now he can be, or like, hey, this team claimed him. Like, you have 2 days to make. Like, I thought those things were awesome. And it was usually
Yeah.
like, you would never get anything that great in return. It was just more like, hey, this is awesome. Like you can make a, like, I think, like you Darvish was like one of the best waiver trades ever. Um, or like one of the biggest. I think Verlander was too the first time he got traded, like from Detroit
Yeah.
to. Um, the Sox have a lot of guys right now that they could like Aaron Savali right now. Like you don't,
Yep.
you could trade him a week from now, but you're not allowed to.
Yep.
He looks
Yeah.
awesome right now. Like I don't know if that's like the cat's lab, but like his curveball is disgusting. Like and it kind of stinks that you can't deal him. That he's
Yeah.
just gonna kind of be wasting away on this White Sox team, and I know they need innings or whatever, and maybe you try to bring him back or who knows, right? But that's a guy that you wish you could have moved, but it just seemed like they needed a couple more weeks to like turn him into like his fully formed version here, basically.
Yep.
Alex Rios. Well, yeah. So what happened with Alex Rios? They could still do actually. So Alex Rios was like put on waivers, and the Sox claimed him, and the
Ah, yeah, that's what it
and the
was.
Blue
Yeah.
Jays were like, okay, yeah, take the contract. So
Yeah.
like in theory, that could still happen, right? So if you went and you found like your equivalent guy, like like say like Carlos Correa, right? Like he just went to Houston. Like if the Twins were to put Carlos Correa on waivers and somebody claimed him, like they could have him for nothing.
Yeah.
You just can't make a trade anymore.
Right. Um, Speaking of Savali, like as far as his curveball, the one thing I was worried about is because the not this start, but the last start, it was a weird start time, and half the field was in shadow, and the other half of the field was not because of the weird starting time. And I was wondering if his curveball looking so good and getting so many whiffs was because of that, but because you see him again, and that wasn't an issue at all, and it was still good. Now I'm good. Like he looks pretty decent. Can't complain. Um, uh,
So there was another. We can wrap up here, Robert. Like
this
so there
one,
was yeah. Oh my God.
yeah, we need to
Like
talk about that.
yeah, that needs to happen. But there was a question from
Yeah.
baseball tossed about Robert asking about a qualifying offer. So here's the thing. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen because of how much it would be. But yes, like essentially the White Sox could decline Robert's option for $2 million and then offer him a qualifying offer. Um, and if he declines it and signs elsewhere, the Sox would get a pick after the Comp B round for him. The problem is if he accepts it, I think the qualifying offer is $23 million. So you'd be paying him effectively $25 million next year, which I don't think they'll do.
My draft played second today. I was thinking he was injured for a few days. He's back
Yeah, he
already.
got hit. He got hit on the hand.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was. All right. So it was mentioned here. Can we DFA Josh Rojas, please? Now, where do you stand on that? Because I know that one of the things that they really do like about Josh Rojas is the clubhouse leadership, and now I'm not saying that it wouldn't necessarily be reason to have him around and just not play him. But at that point, like, do you just get rid of him? I mean, I don't know.
My guess is they want to play him a little bit and then put him on waivers and see if anybody will like pick up the rest of the contract like before you would DFA him, basically. Because like if you DFA him, like I think because you can't trade him, right? So you're basically like on the hook for the contract. But if somebody wants him, like maybe somebody, I don't think anybody's gonna. I like he shouldn't play anymore. Like whether he's on the team or not, I think is a different story. I don't
Yeah,
think he needs to be like starting ever, but they've played him pretty consistently like against right-handed pitching. I mean, if you have Mead up here and Mydroff, and Vargas comes back. I mean, so Vargas is being out for a little bit, like that might have like helped Rojas a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, even like, look, if they want to bring Elko back, I mean, what are your options there? Your options are going to be either send Curtis Mead back down probably or DFA Josh Rojas. So it might come to a head here at some point.
Yeah. And it's kind of that about that time period, usually after the trade deadline, the guys that you don't want are usually the first guys to go, and then you start bringing up your young guys. So
Well, there's some pitchers too. I know like Tyler Alexander has like done good work for them, but like I don't need to see that guy again.
not
There's just
today.
right, like, there's just, like, no reason for it. Like, he's a veteran free agent at the end of the year. Like, you can make the argument with Steven Wilson and Brandon Eisert and some of these other guys, like, they have years of control. The Sox are gonna tender them contracts. Even, like, Tyler Gilbert and Cam Booser, those guys, like, in theory, will be back on the 40-man next year. Tyler Alexander and I know, like, Altavilla just went on the IL, but both of those 2 guys and Altavilla's been fine, right?
Yes, yeah.
I just would rather see
I
Peyton
like him.
Pallette, Like, it's just he's
Yeah,
not gonna be on next year's Sox team. So, like, what are we doing? You can make the same Michael Taylor argument. Now, it's not like they have a ton like, he's not blocking anybody, right?
yeah,
But, like, I don't need to see Michael Taylor, like, playing that often.
yeah. And then, like, as far as, like, Michael Taylor, the person goes, I like him a lot. Seems like a great dude, and the guys in the clubhouse love him. I mean, like, that's the thing is I think that they've done a much better job this time around of picking up guys that are good for a clubhouse culture as opposed to the guys that we've seen in the past where it seems like they amassed, like 4 or 5 guys that
Yeah.
other teams had deemed a problem in the clubhouse and brought them all together and put them in the same place.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
no. What do you make of, like, I mean, it's just been described as, like, Mike Talkman had a team meeting before, like, the Pittsburgh series and was basically like, you know, "We've preached patience, and that's great, but, like, we've taken too many fastballs, swinging fastballs." And they're what,
yeah,
like, 11-5 since or something. Like like, they're just,
yeah,
like, murdering the baseball.
yeah. I mean, this. I mean, this is just another thing. Is that, and I know that. Venable is supposedly also one of those guys that
Yeah.
said that, we need to be hitting fastballs more. And I mean, I don't know why this needs to be said that when somebody throws something that's more or less straight at you, you hit it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know why they were hunting
Mhm.
for sliders or whatever the heck they were doing beforehand. Um,
Well, supposedly,
but
they were, like, top 5 in the league in swing decisions, but had a terrible offense.
right.
So, like, something happened. Like, and it could be as simple as, like, there's a bunch of kids on this team that, like, weren't on last year's team. They don't care what happened last year. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, this is, like, not a cloud hanging over them because they don't know that they're supposed to be terrible, right? So, some of it's that, but some of it is, look, like, you played Pittsburgh and teams keep starting lefties against you for some reason, right? Like, that's aided part of it, but they look completely different offensively.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the team just looks, way more locked in and, looks like they're not grasping at straws all the time. I mean, they're kinda going up there with a purpose, and, in the in our chat, that we have, we're talking about Ryan Fuller, helping Colson Montgomery and, his time in Arizona. He comes back here and he's got, what, 7 home runs, 8 home runs, 7 home runs? Yeah, 7 home
7
runs.
with today's, yeah, and there's some stuff there. I mean, Colson's OBP's 305, right? But he's got a 130 WRC plus because his isolated power is like something insane, right? And his BABIP's like 260 or 270. So, um, do you think it's Fuller or like somebody in his department or like a big league hitting coach that brings up the torpedo bat idea? Like, how does that like, it makes sense, like, now. Like, you're getting completely jammed inside, use this bat, right?
Yeah.
But then it's worked so far.
Yeah, I kind of, yeah, and they did it with Jacob Gonzalez as well. Um, I, I
He doesn't have as long a levers though, but I mean,
no, he doesn't. But if you look at his body wise, his arms and his legs are long, and his torso's not really all that big. So I mean, like I get it. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that that's why these guys when they brought it up when it was a new thing at the beginning of the year this year. Um, it was guys talking about the fact that they couldn't get to the pitch on the inside as well, and they were getting busted in on the label. So they moved the sweet spot down towards the label, and it helped them hit a little bit. And if that's what's going to help him do what he needs to do until they finally just decide to stop pitching him in all the time. Because that's like the thing. I mean, I kind of speaking on this, it kind of makes me wonder, like Jose Abreu, for like there was just a period of time where pitchers were like, you know what, we can't put it anywhere middle or out against Jose Abreu because he's going to murder us. So they started jamming him in all the time, and this went on for like you know months at a time, and he'd finally make an adjustment, and then he'd start hitting again after his month long slump or whatever it was. You wonder what would have happened if he was around for the torpedo bat.
yeah, I
Um,
bet there's a lot of guys I mean, how do you think Dan Plesac feels like looking at like the money that some of these like terrible relievers are making? I mean, it's the same thing. It's it's like, oh, why didn't I play then?
yep. What is this? I saw something here I wanted to bring up. Ba, 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 ba. Where did it go? Uh, Baseball says he doesn't need to see jolks.
Yeah,
I don't,
so I think that was just like they wanted like Venable likes righty lefty matchups. So like I think he wanted a Slater They got a lot of left-handed hitting outfielders. So I think that was mostly just if a lefty starts, like you might see jolks or there's just certain situations where like Talkman, Benintendi, like all these guys, they just like don't want them facing lefties necessarily. And Venable's job is to win baseball games.
Vince says the Monty
Yeah,
monster.
I don't like it. That one's bad.
What'd you think of the Big Smooth?
Fine. Yeah, the Angels
It's
came up with that,
interesting.
didn't they?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, as their play-by-play team.
Yeah.
I
I
thought that was a
mean,
funny one.
yeah, the Big Smooth is interesting. I'd like to hire so Wayne Randazzo is the play-by-play guy for the Angels and he's from here. Maybe the
White Sox
Sox could
guy,
hire
yeah.
him. Yeah, or do you
I
think
was wondering why they let him walk.
well, do you think John Schriffen and Steve Stone are ever going to work together again? Cuz it seems kind of weird right now.
Yeah, it is kind of strange,
They
and
haven't
I
worked
kind of
together in a while.
I'm going to tell you, I liked having Plesac. I mean, he's like you get some name pronunciation that are wrong every once in a while. You get
Yeah.
the players that are wrong every once in a while, but that guy, he makes me laugh, and he's got life and experience, which is nice as well.
Yeah, because it's been weird. Because like if Stone is there, it's been like Connor, but if it's but it's been Plesac or Gordon with Schriff. So I don't know. I think it's not harmonious up there. So
Maybe Schriffen and Stone had a fight over one of the rolling chairs, like the guys in the Detroit
ooh,
play-by-play booth did years ago.
yeah, that would be great. Vince
Uh,
Randazzo was with the Mets on radio, and then he got the full time Angels TV job.
to answer this, so Thorpe hasn't started throwing yet.
Probably a check in, right? Yeah.
He's rehabbing. Yeah, just stopped back in Chicago for the weekend to say hello, and that's why he was here.
Does he still have the incredible mustache?
You know what? I didn't
I
see him.
didn't see him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I still think Drew Thorpe's gonna be good, man.
yeah. I mean, that his changeup is disgusting. So I don't know. We'll see. Kevin doesn't like Dan Plesac.
No.
Well, you can't please everybody, I guess, right?
Kevin,
Yeah, now
I think
today was the last one.
Kevin, I think chatter is strong. He said, is there chatter that Stone and Triffin aren't getting along? Uh, Not from anyone I would deem credible, but yes. Yes,
Just a
there is.
thought,
Yes,
I
there
mean, if
is.
you
But
notice how this stuff is lining up,
yeah,
it makes sense that maybe there's an issue.
none of the none of the White Sox burner Twitter food accounts have said anything yet, but there's some stuff out there that they've had some issue. Like, we'll see, right? I kind of thought they'd move on and hire like a real play-by-play broadcaster when they were good, like anyway, like quietly, like, oh, this guy's here now. I don't know. It's definitely easier to deal with when the team's better. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so to answer that question, Jamie, I mean, there's probably about 9 or 10 guys that are coming back next year, and I mean, we're not talking all major league guys, but, like, we're talking, throughout all the levels that are gonna
Yeah, I
be
mean, you
coming
got
back.
what you're
I mean,
gonna have Thorpe and Mason Adams and Kai Bush like in the big league mix of some sort at some
yeah,
point.
Blake
Juan,
Larson.
Juan Carella's out, and then on the minor league side, like, yeah, Blake Larson's the big one. You'd like to see him get back. There was other, like, Aldrin Batista's supposed to return this year because
He had, like,
it's like a
a fractured
stress
elbow.
fracture in his elbow. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
which I
that's a
think
weird one.
sometimes ends up being Tommy John, and then you miss more time. But
Yeah. It was nice, Connor McCullough came back,
I saw that, and he looks
and
good too.
he's looked good. He looks like exactly like what Connor McCullough looked
Uh-huh.
like before, so that's good.
And it's kind of like we suspected on Schultens. Did you see that today? So the Sox
Yeah,
rehabbed him,
PFA'd.
basically kept paying him the whole time. He must be a great dude. And then they took him off the 60 man and what optioned him because he had options. But today they made two waiver
PFA'd,
claims from
yeah.
the Brewers and they DFA'd Schultens. My guess is he clears and just goes to Charlotte, but you know, who knows?
That's my guess as well. He's had some rough ones in the
Yeah.
last, couple weeks, so we'll
What are
see.
your thoughts on adding 4 pitchers to the Knights? And so 2 of them are prospecty, right? The 2 guys from the Rays trade. Peoples has good stuff. The other guy's kind of a like sinker baller, soft tosser type guy. But then 2 waiver claims from the Brewers are super interesting. Brian Hudson, like those guys were in the Brewers bullpen
Yeah, and
last
Peguero.
year in a contender's bullpen, and they were good. And this year they've been kind of bad. Our guy Dylan like made a good point in our group chat, just that um what is it, Hudson, right? Hudson threw 25% cutters last year and was pretty nasty, and he hasn't thrown any this year. So I don't know if that's a Walker McKinven not being there change potentially. Um, but we'll see. And Ian obviously will be watching the Knights play here again at some point, and like we'll see how many cutters he throws.
Yeah, I'm curious. I really want to, see what their pitch mix looks like and see what's going on here. I mean, I will say, like, I love that Baseball Savant is available for AAA, but man, not having it in the levels below is super frustrating. It's
Dude,
almost as frustrating as having different baseballs in those leagues as well.
there are some guys right now that the Sox have that I would love to see that data on. Like, you saw Christian Opper in person.
Yeah,
And look, anybody can watch that kid and be like, "This guy's disgusting," right? Like it is, but still, like having the like what Matthias Lacombe is doing, or even having like the data on McDougal right now, um, is really important for like guys like Yobel Rodriguez, right? Who's getting people out in the DSL, but we've heard he's throwing like 90 or 91, right?
yeah,
It's like kind of like Luis Reyes, um, is another guy in the low minors where just, having data would be interesting.
yeah. I want to bring something up here that baseball brings up here. He said, "Why did the Caden Connor promo go so under the radar?" So they've been doing a thing here, and they've done it mostly with catchers. And you'll see Weston Eberle go here. You'll see Juan Gonzalez go here. You'll see Colby Smelly go here. You'll see like you've seen these guys move all around, and they've done it a little bit with first base and corner outfielders, just a little bit. And I think that that's what they're doing with Caden because Caden actually got promoted like 2 weeks ago to AAA, and then he went back and now he's back. So I think that's probably why it went under the radar this time because it happened a couple of weeks ago, just briefly for like 2 days, and then he was back. So I think that's why.
So
Um,
Kevin had a question, just like top 20 prospects, who we might see. Um, so
uh,
I mean, I assume that we'd see some bullpen guys, but I don't know that they're necessary. Like you could see Peyton Paulette whenever. Iriarte hasn't been very good. Obviously Wickelman we've seen. I think the best answer is probably still Tanner McDougal. I think we're gonna see him at some point. Is it in a starting role? I don't know. But just with him being Rule 5 eligible, I mean, it's a big Brian Bannister component of what he does to like get these guys like some work late. So I don't know what the innings limit is on Tanner McDougal, but whatever it is, like the last 15 or whatever can be in the big leagues, I would imagine.
yeah, that makes sense.
And that'll be fun.
Um,
And that'll be fun, man. Cause we like even coming into this year, like Ian's watched Tanner McDougal forever. I loved him as a prospect. We've talked about like shortcomings is strong because he came back from Tommy John and he'd walk too many guys, right? But his stuff was disgusting. Um, so the fact that he's like knocking on the door of the big leagues is awesome because I think
quickly
like
too.
Keith Law was the only guy this offseason who like basically had him like seventh or eighth in the system. Like Keith Law listed like six dudes and then was like, oh, the guy most scouts talk about is Tanner McDougal. And it was kind of like just this offhand thing. And then McDougal shoved all year.
Yep.
So I don't know if they need to see him in Charlotte um, to, whatever, because some guys they seem to want to do that and some guys they don't. But yeah, no, I think he's definitely the most interesting of the guys that you might see.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I don't. I don't think there's anybody else that I would probably put above him and a guy to make a run this year. And I don't see why they would want to see him in Charlotte. I mean, like when you make guys look that dumb in Double A,
Yeah.
I don't really see a point in it. So
Well, it's only like if you, I mean, we had Jim Callis on, right? The
yep,
baseball and the automatic ball strike system, right? But like, if he's going to come up this year, he's not going to see that in the big leagues either.
right.
So who cares, right? So to me, I bring him up straight from Double A, let him throw fuzz out of the bullpen, and he's in the mix for a rotation job in the big leagues out of spring training next year. And then if he has to start in Charlotte, fine. Like that's fine. He's part of your big league team in some capacity at some point in 2026.
Yeah, this is the ultimate question. What do you do with all this pitching?
You can never have enough,
You
man.
never have enough, but at some point, like you would think that they would like we said this 2 years ago, and then last year, you end up leading into this year, you end up having, a dozen guys go down with TJ.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but
So
they've been good at going to find guys who can get you through a minor league season though, right? You have your Hale Sims, you have all these dudes that they just and those guys aren't necessarily going to be White Sox, right? But it's like if prospects go down, like you can find pitchers. I mean, look at Birmingham again, right? Birmingham's going to try to win another title.
yep,
And they're not
yeah, they're
they're not
playing well.
they're not loaded with prospects, like not by any means, right? So I think one of like the Sox have dialed back these last two drafts. They're not pounding college starters where you don't have places for these guys to go. I think like, after we're done with our ranking and I hope I'm hoping to have just missed out Monday, August 11th, followed by the top 30. We're working on it now. After that, I might try to do like something for myself, which is just like a projection for next year type of thing, just to kind of see the logjam and guys are going to be coming back. But yeah, I mean, they've taken a lot more hitters. So it's not like you have 5 college starters to insert in the Kannapolis rotation and guys that aren't ready for Winston. I think it'll probably work itself out, and some guys are going to have to go to the bullpen, like we've talked about. Like it's just they take some of these guys who they think like have a chance to start. Um, like Seth Keener is a good example, right? Like Seth Keener has struggled, and like maybe that guy just converts to relief. I don't know. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. You got a lot of arms, but it's better than not having enough arms. That's for sure.
All right. So Vince has got one that I want to talk
Yeah,
about later. I want to
yeah.
talk about that
You
later
want to do
after we get through the White Sox
you want to
stuff.
do Preller at
But
the end? That's fine. Yeah, we can do like
yeah,
a takeaways from the trade deadline type thing. Yeah.
yeah, there's three things I want to talk about. One of them here is one that Grimtal brings up. What happened to Martin Perez?
No, he's fine.
He just made a appearance yesterday in Charlotte, pitched 2.2 innings, gave up 2 runs, but for the most part, he looked pretty good.
Yeah,
The changeup still looks good.
it's
So
funny. They said he was throwing like 87 in his ramp up. I'm like, that's what he throws anyway.
yeah, it
He's
didn't look
fine.
any different. Yeah, it
Yeah.
didn't look
So,
any different.
like, back to my point then on waiver trades. How would you love to have Aaron Savali and Martin Perez right now to just like send to a content? Like, you don't think there's a contender that would like take one of those guys just to like give their other guys like a rest? Like those guys are super
Yeah,
valuable, and you can't
yeah.
trade them for anything.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know why nobody would want something like that to eat their innings as their, like a top playoff team. Like I just don't know why
I
they
am
didn't want
curious
that,
to see how they're going to use Martin because I do think at some point here, like Burke, it's going to be like 3-4 inning starts here. Like these guys are getting close to their
Yep.
limit. Like you're going to be
Yep.
using like they might do the like Burke was pretty good today, right? I didn't watch today's game. Um but like they've used him as an opener a couple of times now, So Shane Smith kind of bounced back. So, they do have a 5-man rotation right now without Perez.
Yeah. So also it's mentioned here is that Noah Syndergaard got released today. He didn't look all that good. Not that that should be really all that surprising, but yeah, he got lit up pretty good.
Yeah, not
Um,
very good. He's just
yeah,
and there's no way that they're gonna like they have 5 starters plus Perez plus some other kids, right? Like there's no scenario where Syndergaard was going to be pitching for you outside of trading Savali, trading Hauser, shutting down some, like another guy getting hurt like that. He was like 8th or 9th in the chamber here, and you're not going to need to do that.
I don't even know if he was even that high. I mean, like unless he came back as like first 3 years of his career, Noah Syndergaard, it's pretty much worthless because after that he was injured, not any good. So
Yeah.
I don't see any. I don't see any.
Well, this has to be the end, right? I mean, you would think.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't see any scenario whatsoever that he was a meaningful
Mm-hmm.
part of the rotation at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Jamie
so
asked about DePino. Yeah. Okay.
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah. So I
Seventh
talked to
seventh rounder out of Rhode Island.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of guys. I talked
Mm-hmm.
to the guys in Winston and Kannapolis over the last couple of days, and really they don't know where anybody's going at this point. They will find out over the next 2 days.
Yeah.
We know about what Kyle Lodis is
Well,
like the one that we've
apparent.
heard rumors about.
Yeah. So apparently Kyle Lodis might be going to Winston Salem. I checked in with a couple guys. One of the late round hitters told me he didn't know, but they're ready to go to an affiliate, and they only
Yeah,
know of like one guy headed out right now, which my guess is Lodis. So, I
probably
mean,
Lodis. Yeah,
it takes a lot of shuffling. Like, go look at the Kannapolis and Winston Salem rosters, right? If you're gonna add 7 position players, like somebody's gonna have to get released, right? So it's not super easy. It seems like a Monday activity, most likely. And hopefully we'll hear.
yeah, we'll see. Before we get to other teams, let's talk about the draft lottery and
Yes.
where the White Sox are in. They are still in the spot right now,
Oh God, yeah. I think
but
it's
with
gonna be
how
tough.
they're playing,
Yeah.
it's possible they could get bypassed by at least a couple of teams that are close to them.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like how many games are they realistically gonna win, right? And I know like you're not at home right now, so you can't really share. But like if anybody wants to go to tankathon.com and click on MLB and just look at the position that like the White Sox are 42 and 70 with a 375 win percentage. Um and the odds then at the number one, like the odds would be like basically 26% to land the number one pick. Um Atlanta's right behind them at 47 and 63, right? So the Sox still have 7 more losses than the Braves do. Pittsburgh's 48 and 64. The Athletics are 49 and 65. And then Baltimore's 51. And like, I think like Minnesota, who, so they're 52 and 59, and they're probably going to like crater. So Minnesota probably gets up into like the top 5. I just don't know that the Sox can fall much further than like 3, honestly. Because even if the Sox go 500 the rest of the way, um, you're talking about 67 wins. Um, I don't know. I mean,
I would take that. Anything
yeah,
that's not 100 losses, I would take as a move in the right direction and, still keep us in our standing, you know?
but I know that we like they were what? They're 11. I can't even remember now. They were like 10. They're like 11 and 4 or 10 and 5, something like that.
11-5, yeah.
Like they're not. I mean, can they go? They can't go 25 and 25 the rest of the way, can they? Maybe. I guess maybe they've been playing pretty
I
good.
mean, that's not really I mean, their schedule is supposedly when the All-Star break flipped, they were supposed
Yeah,
to have, like, the 3rd hardest,
yeah.
you know, schedule,
But how many
but
Twins
then
games is that? Like, yeah,
after the trade deadline, they reevaluated that whole thing, and they went down to 12th.
12th. Yeah,
So it's entirely possible that they could rattle off like a bunch of series wins, and if they do
hmm
that, they're just gonna stack it. So we'll see.
yeah. And I think Arizona and Minnesota are probably the two teams that'll like rise up in the the thing here. Oakland, I think, is playing kind of well. Miami's like good, kind of, right? And
Yep. Yep.
The Braves have nothing to play for, and Alex Anthopoulos is smart, so they'll probably be terrible. That's your competition is likely the Braves and the Pirates. The hot rumor around baseball is that Ben Cherington's like going to get fired any day now, so
Yep.
I don't know how that affects like the Pirates on field necessarily. But that's and then Colorado, Washington, and who am I missing? The Angels. None of them really factor in at all because they can't pick in the lottery.
Yep.
I
I
will
don't know.
say
We'll see
though,
what happens.
I just don't really think anybody should be that worried because it's a like even if they have the worst record, like they could pick 6th or 7th, right? I would
Yep.
try as best as we can, and this is coming from me. People are gonna be like stunned, right? I would just like enjoy your young fun team and like if they win, like I'm not gonna be upset like when they lose, but like being upset when they win is kind of ridiculous. If like these guys are all
Yeah.
your
No.
if these guys,
I would not
like
do that.
if these guys are all like your dudes that are gonna matter.
Yeah. I mean, if they rattled off and got like 70 wins, I would
Yeah, I
be
mean, great. Like,
overjoyed
yeah,
because that
yeah,
means that they're playing well. I
right.
mean, obviously that would be less than ideal for the pick, but
And they could still get a top 3 pick because this thing is crazy. Like this lottery is nuts.
yeah,
It's like happened
for
every
sure.
year.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you can get the 7th pick when being in the worst position, in the best position to get first and still be considered winning in the lottery is ridiculous, but I don't wanna get into that again. So
Was
aggravating.
you think Justin Ishbia was a sleeper agent? Like he
Um,
ended like his first role, like he ended the Twins. Like him not buying the Twins just ended the Twins. One of the funny things I saw, like we're gonna get into the trade deadline in a second and then get off of here, but was like people were complaining and blaming the Twins general manager for this, like Derek Falvey. Derek Falvey didn't do this.
yeah,
Like Derek
this is
Falvey's
not
owner
him.
called him and was like, "Dump everything." Okay, thank you. I will. I'll do what I can. Right?
I would love to.
Imagine being. Did you see the prospect return for Carlos Correa?
Nothing.
So this is a
I mean, it
pitcher.
wasn't
No, but
meant
it's
like
a pitcher named I think Mike Mikulski, who had a
yeah,
6+ ERA as a reliever
yeah,
in A ball who was released already this year and returned. Imagine being a kid, right? Who like
Hilarious.
the dream is dying, right? And like you're probably considering pretty much every week, like whether it's worth still doing this. And then you get traded for Carlos Correa, straight up.
Pretty slick.
Yeah, like that's awesome. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. There's yeah, I think that's kind of interesting that the Ishbia is not getting, refusing to buy the Twins and then just watch them kind of torpedo. And we talked about this in our chat that I mean, just how crazy it is for the Johnsons and for Steve Cohen, watching Carlos Correa over the last couple of years after they declined it on medicals, and now he gets traded for like a 26-year-old pitcher with a 6 ERA or whatever in A ball. That's quite something. All right, so moving to other teams for the trade deadline. James, not Sox related. Vince asks, "What do you think of Preller again? I love it. Massive balls, takes risks. Just draft and sign more international studs."
yeah, I think the league needs more AJ Prellers.
Yeah.
Like, so I will say, like, it kind of reminded me of like the Addison Russell thing. Not that like like nobody could foreshadow like any of like the off-field stuff with Russell,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I think that like DeVries is probably ranked a little bit too high. Like he's probably a second baseman. He's gonna hit, but yeah, I mean, like it's not shortstop, right? So, like, is he a top 25 prospect in baseball? Absolutely. Is he a top 5 prospect in baseball? Like, probably not, right? Now, does that mean you should trade him for a closer? It's just it's absolutely insane. But I still like it because like when you're in Preller's position, like he doesn't care because the way he thinks is like we have another draft and another international period, and I'll just sign a bunch of dudes because he's great at it. AJ Preller, and this is mean, but AJ Preller is like the dude that Ken Williams thought that he was, I think. Right? Like, because AJ Preller is like one of the best scouts. Like they draft high school kids every year and like they're awesome and they sign the best international guy and they're awesome and they have like issues developing these guys so they can
Hmm.
scout
Yeah.
but they don't develop all that great but they can just use these guys in trades constantly because they have like a bunch of talent in their system. So yeah, man, like the guys that made the trades, Preller, Dipoto, Dombrowski, shocker, right? Like these are the guys that like make moves all the time. Yeah, AJ Preller's awesome. Like if you were the GM of your team, like you just be fat. Like for what the purposes of what we do, like it's just like okay, they just like they literally traded the entire system, like other than
Yeah.
their recent draft picks and the catcher.
Yeah. I mean, I find it it seems to me like Preller is like the king of finding and scouting guys that other scouts and talent evaluators are going to think are the best players that are available on the market that never develop into anything. Because it seems like most of the guys that he trades away. I mean, I granted the trade to the Nats with you know
Yeah, but you
uh
got Juan Soto. But yes,
all the
agreed. Yeah,
fair enough, yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, like a lot of the time, like most of these guys don't develop
But
into
he's the only
anything.
guy in the league that would do that.
Yeah.
Like Jed Hoyer. like, I mean, so like the Cubs are trying to win a World Series theoretically, right? And look, the moves they made, I think, are helpful. I like Mike Soroka. I really like Willie Castro, but like I don't understand the Moises Ballesteros thing. Like, and maybe it's not true, right? Whatever. Like Owen Casey, it might be fine, right? And if Owen Casey were like a White Sox prospect, I'd be like, yeah, that's great because like they have like, but like Owen Casey's not going to help the Cubs anytime soon. Like, even if Tucker left, Owen Casey can't be your right field. So he strikes out 30% of the time in Iowa. Like, Moises Ballesteros is a 5'6" like catcher. He rakes, but like they're not going to let him catch, and he can't play first base because he's 5'6". So like he's a DH. Like, you're not going to trade a DH for. And look, none of those pitchers were moved, right? And that's what Jed Hoyer said. Oh, none of those guys were moved. Okay, well
Yeah.
maybe you should have offered more, and one of them might have been right. But I don't know. I that would be fun. Like if I were a Cubs fan, I would be upset because they didn't do enough.
Didn't do enough. Yeah.
And like, look, they could get in and they could win the World Series because anybody can get in and win the World Series, right? But like you could like enhance your chances a little bit by going out and doing what everybody kind of thought they were going to do, and instead they prospect hugged triple A hitters with a team full of like the Cubs have a veteran team of really good players, you know,
Yeah.
and they have a bunch of
Yep.
prospects who are never going to play for them. I don't know.
Yep.
I
That are
don't understand.
blocked. I mean, they can't bring them up. I mean, unless the guy that's up there turns into a really bad baseball player,
Yeah,
which
like
they're not hoping for either.
Them
So,
and Boston are very similar. It's like what are you doing?
yep. I don't know. Then there's this, and this is the last thing.
I hope
I
so. That would
promise.
be yeah. So somebody asked about it's like Munaketa Murakami. So I know like maybe Dylan and Elijah could get into this, like because Dylan had some of the data just on his like I guess frightening whiff rates, like in Japan. I guess
Oh, really?
apparently,
Hmm.
but he hits freaking tanks, and I love him, and he's yeah, he would be fun. Like, so there's a Japanese guy coming over, big time lefty power hitter. He's 25, so he's like not subject to bonus pools. So, it would be like a just like a regular big league signing. So I hope they're in the mix. I mean, he's a corner guy, but you know, the lefty power looks fun.
Well, indeed. All right, you good with me walking this out?
All
I
good.
don't have I don't have
Yeah,
my
thanks,
outro to
guys.
read this time like
That's
normal.
fine.
So, but you guys have been watching slash listening to the Future Sox podcast. Know if you are watching or listening, know that you can find us every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on the YouTubes or the Purple app. Um, if you are looking for our written content is on futuresox.net. You can also, if you want to support us, you can find a link to our Patreon on our site or on our YouTube profile, channel profile. Um, if you're looking for White Sox highlights, now this week has been a complete anomaly and weird because I'm not home right now. But normally, all of our White Sox highlights go up on our Twitter and also on our YouTube channel now. And so if you're looking for that, that's where you find it. My name is Ian Eskridge at Daily White Sox. He's James Fox at James Fox 917. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. We appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys always drive this program, and we appreciate you guys in the community. We appreciate you. Have a great night, and we will talk to you guys next week. Thanks.